remember when we was talking about the State Department yesterday? Well, I warned you and it's sweeping everything. I warned you back earlier in the year, late last year. I told you, I said, yo, make sure that you guys are taking care of business and on top of things. Ida Walker says you like California better than Miami. Yes. Yes. That's where I was looking, Rhonda. LaJala. That's where I was looking. That's exactly where I was looking at my search. I was looking in LaJala. Is that how you say it? LaJala? Lahala? I was looking at LaJala. That's where I was looking at all of the places. That's where I was looking. So, man, y'all be on it. The chat be on top of things. Y'all not messing around. That's exactly where I was looking at. Yep. You on it, Rhonda. That's my chat. But yes, I do think that California is better than Miami. Now, it depends on the time of the year. I think that Miami in the wintertime is hard to beat than anything. I don't know if you can beat Miami in the winter, but Miami year round, I would overall take California over Miami year round. La Jolla? Is that what you call it? La Jolla? Is La Jolla? Okay. All right. Have you spent some time and been over to Master Irrigation? Have you spent some time over in these places? You should go La Jolla. You should go and check it out. Don't make a decision until you actually see it for yourself. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Layoffs, ladies and gentlemen. We back.
This morning, the White House says it will move forward with its plans to dismantle the Department of Education, following a Supreme Court decision allowing the administration to fire more than 1,000 workers. President Trump celebrated the decision on social media, writing, quote, "The United States Supreme Court has handed a major victory to parents and students across the country. The move essentially guts the department, which oversees billions of dollars in funding to help students in low-income communities and students with disabilities, and enforces civil rights laws to prevent discrimination in school."
Let me back up for a second. I want to make sure that I'm getting this whole thing. All right.
It will move forward with its plans to dismantle the Department of Education, following a Supreme Court decision allowing the administration to fire more than 1,000 workers. President Trump celebrated the decision on social media, writing, quote, "The United States Supreme Court has handed a major victory to parents and students across the country. The move essentially guts the department, which oversees billions of dollars in funding to help students in low-income communities and students with disabilities, and enforces civil rights laws to prevent discrimination in school."
We've needed an overhaul over the Department of Education for a long time. And let me tell you why this is the right move. All right. Number one, obviously, we know where it actually lowers the cost that the federal government is spending in order to stand up some of these departments, right? Number two, most of the monies that we give, a lot of it goes to administrative costs. It goes to administrative costs. If you're telling me that we can't make sure that funding is allocated for people with disabilities and so on and so forth, without us having these extreme levels of administrative costs, I'm telling you that you're lying. You're 100% lying. It's just like a nonprofit organization. When you give money to a nonprofit organization, most of them, not all, but most of them, 90% of everything that you donate go towards administrative costs, salaries, buildings, funding, all of this type of stuff. And so that's the finesse, is that they say, hey, you give into a good cause, 10% goes to the cause, 90% goes into making sure that they stand up for a good cause. And so when you're thinking about all of the costs that's associated with it, why do we need all of these people standing around doing nothing when we're not actually changing the policies? We're not actually changing how it is that we administer financial assistance and student loans and all of this stuff. But the Department of Education in itself is bloated. And so what you are basically seeing is I think it was 1,400 people that's in the Department of Education that work for the federal government. They're now facing cuts. They're now facing cuts. because nothing is changing as far as the funding. How it is that we administer these things, we're just getting more efficient at doing it. And with the technology and AI and all of this stuff, we don't need all of these people continuing to take all of our tax dollars. Go find something in the private sector. Go start a new company. Go and compete in the workforce. We don't need forever employees in the federal government continuing to throw the Department of Education under the bus. And I'm going to tell you something else. One of the reasons why we need to update the Department of Education, you know what one of the changes that we need to make? We need to make changes when it comes to student loans. We can't keep having people using student loans as a dangling carrot on the Democrat side in order to get y'all to vote for them, promising y'all free things. We can't. We can't. Obviously, y'all not able to think for yourselves. You weren't able to manage as a young person whether you should or shouldn't take out student loans. And so you just took as much as you possibly can. I know people that was taking out student loans for stuff they didn't even need. They got fresh, they bought cars, they had a good time, they went shopping. I know people that use their student loan money for trips, food, all of that stuff. People were using student loan money for stuff that they didn't need it for. 100%. And so because you don't know how to manage your student loans effectively, I think that we should start putting parameters on what you can and can't borrow based off of what you're going into. There should be a limit on student loans. There should be qualifications for student loans. It should not be blanket for people to just to be able to take it out. Unless you're going into this field, you're going into liberal arts, okay, you have a very, very low amount that you can borrow. You can get a Pell Grant, but you have a low, very, very minimal amount that you can borrow if you want to go into arts or you want to go into African American studies or you want to go in some random curriculum that particular university opened it up. Gender studies. I don't believe you should be able to. Now, if you are going into the medical profession, if you decide that you want to be a doctor, a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, a lawyer or something, then I think that we should be able to extend a greater leash, a longer leash, more opportunity, because we know that statistically your earning potential is higher. And so I think that it should be layers and ways in which we justify why people are taking out student loans. And I think that it should be a greater barrier to entry to whether or not people can take out student loans. That's what I believe. I believe there needs to be an overhaul of the system, and we need to have a reduction in the amount that people are able to take out depending on what curriculum they go into. Because you can't have all of these people crying and complaining about how they can't take out their student loans. You want to become a social worker? Okay, well, you can't take out 40,000, 50,000, 60, 70, 80,000. You have a limit of about $13,000 that you can take out in student loans in order to become a social worker. If not, then you can't be a social worker. If you want it, then pay for it. If you want to send your kids to Juilliard, if you want them to be a master of the arts, then your parents going to have to pay for it. And I believe in order for people to take out student loans, if you want to go to a diversity, equity, and inclusion degree, if you want to get underwater basket weaving, I believe they first need to go to and they need to pay for all of their undergrad in community colleges. Make community colleges great again. Make community colleges great again. Listen, you want to go into liberal arts, you want to do this, you want to do that. Well, you got to do your basic classes. You have to do your regular classes in community college, and then that'll give you some time to figure out what you really want to do. And then you can go over into a major university. That way we reduce the amount that you got to pay back in student loans. That's how I would do it. That's how I would do it. It would be complete overhaul. I would be in there slashing, cutting, changing, adding extra requirements. Oh, you want to do that? Well, you can go and you got to do this. That's how you got to do it. So, in that way, later on in life, you can't come back and say, they told us that we need to get an education. They didn't tell you needed to take out $100,000 in student loans, big dog. And you'll be able to find out exactly who can and who can't cut it when they go to community college, because Community college, that's the proving ground. You're right. That is the proving ground, Onaka. Why is it the proving ground? Because in community college, you got to be self-motivated. On college campuses, a lot of times you do just enough in order to be able to stay on campus. You know what I'm saying? You trying to make sure you get some box. You ain't trying to lose your dorm and all of that type of stuff. And so you there just being a C student. For community college, you can't ain't no staying on campus. You actually got to make moves, baby. You got to actually show up and do your work. And so you got to be self-motivated because it's coming out of your pocket most of the time. And so a lot of people wash out early and they realize that they're not good enough. And so they don't even continue to go. And that way you didn't mess up the bag too much. You just went, you tried out, you didn't make the team. And so now we know that you're just going to be a regular worker. Can you put the fries in the bag, please? And can you make my cup hot? You realize that college wasn't for you and it didn't even cost you $450 a credit hour, $600 a credit hour. You didn't have to go through trial and error at $600 a credit hour. You was able to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? You was able to do it at $60, $75 a credit hour. That way we can fix it.
The president has repeatedly promised to return education to the states, but state and local governments already administer curriculum for the nation's schools, and most funding for public schools is provided by state and local governments. The layoffs were announced in March as part of Trump's efforts to slash spending, but were paused by a lower court. Education advocates warn that the coming cuts will leave students without critical support services, from special education to financial aid. This comes as at least 24 states are suing the Trump administration for withholding more than $6 billion in congressionally allocated funding. George, this was a 6-3 decision with the court's 3 liberals in.
King says community college should be free. Okay, so let me ask you a question, Sherlock, since y'all so smart. Well, then who is going to pay for the teachers and the facilities and the curriculums and the grading system and all of this other type of stuff? Who's going to pay for the books? Who's going to pay for all of this stuff? If community college is free, right, because you have to maintain campuses and parking and all of this other type of stuff. If community colleges is free, then who pays for it? It was a rhetorical question. Let me answer that for you. Taxpayers would then have to pay for it, which means that the people in your community would have to pay a higher millage on their property taxes in order for you to go and fuck up inside of school. Nothing is free. Somebody somewhere is going to pay for you to be an idiot inside of school. Nothing is free. What you are getting for free, somebody like me that realize that y'all be out here being dumbasses is going to have to pay for it. You know why? Because they're going to put it on the ballot and say, hey, do you want to pay this extra in a millage in order to make sure that community college is at a minimal price for the people that's in the community? And you're going to go over there and mess up. And then we paid for your dumb ass. And then you ain't going to do this. I ain't saying you in particular, but just people in general that want stuff for free. Somebody got to pay for it. What you got to pay for the teachers. You got to pay for the administrators. You got to pay for the counselors. You got to pay for the building. You got to pay for the learning environment. You got to pay for people to be able to there hoop. You know that court that y'all like to go and hoop at and pretend like you was really D1? Somebody got to pay for that. Why y'all beg so much? Man, it should be free. Why y'all not willing to pay for the services that you get? Y'all so cheap, but you will pay for some head. You won't pay to educate yourself so that you can communicate at your job interview and then be able to talk to your employer about what you did for the day, but you will go and pay to get some dome. You will pay for her to kiss the mushroom tip, though, won't you? Y'all can't wait to get overseas. Oh, man, I want to go over to Thailand and get a lady boy. I want a lady boy. Lady boy. Lady boy. Lady boy. You can't wait to get that mystery box. Ooh, look like a girl. May have been a boy. I don't know. We're not gonna know until they drop they draws. Let's turn the lights out and let's be surprised. You are willing to risk it all. You're gonna pay for that Spirit flight. You're gonna go all overseas. You're gonna go to all of the most devious communities. You're not going sightseeing in Sasua. You're going over there to get some box. You will pay for some head without thinking twice. Pay to get your butt rubbed on by a lady boy, but you won't pay for an education. And that's what's wrong with the black community, is because we so obsessed with sex. So obsessed with sex, but we not obsessed with being smart. Always want something for free, but always tricking. Always leaving, trying to send some money to somebody that you don't know, but then don't want to pay for your education. Hey guys, we was able to lower the cost of education. You can get it for damn near free. And because you're a low income resident, you can actually get a Pell Grant to go on top of it. Would you like to enroll so that you can improve your chances of making more money and then hopefully being able to send your family off to college when they get raised? Nah, man, I don't want that shit. That's a scam. That's a scam. School is a scam, nigga. School's a scam. Well, what do you mean, sir? In order for you to get a higher position, because you have to qualify yourself if you want to move into upper management in this organization, you're going to have to actually separate yourself by being better educated. And so this is going to require a degree. No, nigga, school scam school. Education scam, nigga. It's a scam. Why you think that education scam? Cause they keep on telling me to go to school. I ain't use none of this in my regular life. I don't use school in my regular life, nigga. Well, what do you mean you don't use school in your regular life? You have to calculate your taxes, and you need to understand what's happening in the political process, and you definitely are going to have to pay interest payments. And in order for you to lower your tax burden, there's a calculation that goes along with it. I don't care about that. I just pay it. I pay it. I don't care. I don't care. Well, you do know that you're going to need additional educational requirements in order. Man, skip that school scam, nigga. Scam. Education is a scam, nigga. School is a scam. I ain't learned nothing. Well, that's because you didn't apply yourself. And so if you apply, did you know statistically speaking, you can make more than $1 million more in your lifetime? Now, I don't care about that. Now I just get a trade. If I get tired, I get a trade. I get a trade. You know that going to school to get a trade is you becoming educated, sir. I mean, but I ain't gotta go to university. I ain't got to go to the same school you go to, because these modern women, that ain't what these do. That ain't what men look for anyway in modern women. Well, sir, we don't tell women not to be educated. We tell them not to lead with their education instead of not, in a relationship, because that doesn't make you better than the person that you're in a relationship for. No, but I don't care. I mean, these women, that's all they care about. They think that they not the most educated, they the most enrolled. Sir, you got that from me. And the context of that is that they're taking on student loans in order to improve their lifestyle, but they then get saddled with student loans. And so I don't want you to get with a woman that got an egregious amount of student loans, because you're going to get Do you understand why I said that? I don't care. Anton said it. MTR said it. They not the most educated. They the most enrolled. Alpha male strategies. Okay, you right. You got it. Next. Man, can you please put, okay, well, at the very least, can you at least make my fries hot? Can I get some new fries? Can I get some new fries? Just put the fries in a bag, bro. Just put the fries in the bag, bro. I'm not gonna explain it. I don't want to talk about it. We're not gonna worry about it. You got it. You got it, sir.
Opposition. In a scathing dissent, Justice Sotomayor said that the court made a, quote, indefensible decision to allow the president to dismantle a department that was created by an act of Congress. She wrote, quote, "The majority is either willfully blind to the implications of its ruling or naive, but either way, the threat
I'm
to
gonna
our
read the super chat in a
Constitution's
second.
separation of powers is grave." By the way, the president's Secretary of Education says that the core functions of the Department of Education could be carried on by other agencies.
And the majority of the Supreme Court didn't offer any reasoning at all. On another front, John, major new departure on immigration for the administration.
Yeah, this is a development that was first reported by the Washington Post and confirmed this morning by ABC News. A new policy by ICE saying that those who enter the country illegally will no longer be eligible or no longer have access to bond hearings and can be held indefinitely in ICE detention while their deportation proceedings go forward. George, as you know, those proceedings can last months, in some cases even years.
So, more layoffs are going to be coming. It's not just going to happen at the State Department. It's not going to just happen in the Department of Education. It is going to happen in multiple different departments because they are going to be going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And I believe that the Department of Government, The Department of Government Efficiency, I think that they're still working. It's just not highlighting. They just cutting. They just making it happen.